What up, your boy C. Rizzy coming at you with a little individual lesson between 1 and 2 on simplifying radicals. Okay, so how do I simplify something as simple as the square root of 18? So, in case we're still struggling with this, okay, one way to do this is to create a factor tree. And I want to do this in black. Do this, I don't want to do it in red, I'll do it in black. So, give me factors of 18. Let's do 9 and 2. Factors of 9, 3 and 3. Okay, now look at your prime numbers, 3, 3, and 2. So you want to figure out, do I have any pairs? Well, you have a pair of 3's, and the 2 is all by itself. So every time you have a pair, you circle a pair, it comes on the outside of a radical symbol. Then you get the radical symbol, and then whatever left over goes underneath. So the answer to this, is simplified, is 3 radical 2. That one was very simple. Okay, how about something a little bit more intense? How about 180? So let's start with, let's do 10 and 18. That's factors of 180. And 10 has 5 and 2. Those are both prime, so I'm going to leave those. 18 has 9 and 2. 2 is prime, so I'm just going to underline that. And 9 gets you 3 and 3. And those are both primes. Alright, so let me see. I've got a pair of 3's here. And over here I have a pair of 2's. So on the outside of my radical comes a 2. And a 3, and underneath my radical comes the lone 5. Okay, whenever you have multiple things go on the outside or under the radical, they get multiplied together. So 2 times 3 is 6, so the answer here is 6 radical 5. Okay, so now what happens if I have a radical in a fraction form? If the radical is on top, so if this was square root of 2 over 2, no problem. The problem is the radical's in the denominator, and we can't have a radical in the denominator, so we have to rationalize. Okay, we need to get the radical out of the denominator. So to do that, we're just going to multiply the top and the bottom by radical 2. So on top, when I do 2 times radical 2, I'm just left with 2 radical 2. And on the bottom, I have radical 2 squared, because I'm multiplying radical 2 by itself. And what happens when I have a square root being squared? They cancel, so I'm just left with 2 radical 2 over 2. And that happens every time when you rationalize. The last step is to say, okay, I've got 2 over 2, which simplifies to 1. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and I'm just left with radical 2. So my answer here is simply just radical 2. Okay, let's do another one. Again, I need to rationalize my denominator. Okay, square root of 9 over square root of 6. Well, first off, square root of 9 is 3, so I can make my life a little bit easy right there. So right here, I'm going to be left with 3 radical 6. On the bottom, I'm going to be left with 6. Now, I'm not done. What is 3 over 6? That is 1/2. And then I just bring my radical to keep my radical on the top. So in this problem, I'm left with radical 6 divided by 2. Okay, what if I got to multiply by a radical with a coefficient? Okay, well this is easy. When you multiply here, you're just multiplying the 4 and the 2, because they're both not under radicals. They're both coefficients. So I'm going to get 8 radical 5. And on the bottom, I can multiply what's outside the radical together. So I can multiply the 2 and the 2 together. That'll get me 4. And then radical 5 times radical 5 just gets me 5. So radical 5 times radical 5 gets me 5. So when I simplify this, I get 8 radical 5 divided by 20. And this right here will simplify to 2/5 radical 5. So that's your answer. So your answer is 2 radical 5 divided by 5. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, what if I have 2 coefficients again? So what I said is we can multiply the 2 front ones together. 4 times 2 is 8. And then here you can multiply the radicals underneath. 4 times 6 is 24. All divided by 2 times 2 is 4. Radical 6 times radical 6 is just 6. Now, before we get any further confused, radical 24 can be simplified. So radical 24 actually reduces to 8 times 3, 4 times 2, 2 times 2. So 8 radical 24 reduces to 2 radical 6. So actually what I have here is I have 8 times 2 radical 6 divided by 4 times 6 is 24. Well, 8 times 2 is 16, so I have 16 radical 6 over 24. And then I'll simplify here. What goes into 16 and 24? I believe 4 is your greatest common factor there. No, 8. 8 is going to be your greatest common factor. So 16 divided by 8 is 2. 8 divided by 24 is 3. And I'm just left with my radical 6 on top, and that's your final answer. Okay, I hope we understood that.